What do you say, everybody? And welcome to the BamaInsider YouTube channel with Jay Barker. I'm Mick Gillispie. It's time for Crimson Tide headlines, and we invite you to hit the bell, subscribe, become part of Bama on 3, and make sure that you hit that bell because you'll know every time that we go live with a show. Thumbs up, that's a way of saying Roll Tide. Chris Daughtry, our producer behind the scenes, and here we are, Thursday, game week, Jay. Nick Saban, kind of in mid-season form already.
Yeah, I had a slight rant, not all full rant, but a slight rant based on the question asked about the players and kind of, the competition level and all that. I said, look, when I was scouting these guys, when I was in the pros, looking back at college, I didn't care who they were playing. It was whether or not you could play and compete against that guy in front of you, the one-on-one matchups. How did you perform? Did you perform all throughout the game? Did you take off some plays? Is it how it affected you based on score, the team you're playing, or where you're playing, home or away? So we see this all the time. I mean, I think he was talking to the media too a little bit, saying, look, all this rat poison you're throwing out there. My guys are, either thinking about that or they're just not playing at the level they need to be playing at. But also it's a message to his team is that you can't allow circumstances, scoreboard, or place you're playing to determine how you play the game all throughout the game, not just certain plays. And he wants to see them executing at a higher level. He even brought up some of the stuff, Mick, about the offensive line. Talked about receivers not finishing routes. Talked about a number of positions they kind of pointed out. And again, just a message to them saying, you got to play better and you got to play more consistent and execute at a high level and play winning football.
Yeah, throw it up there, Chris. Let's watch a couple seconds of it. I love it when he gets that look like he's disappointed. It's like
yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Offensive growth.
He's like, I know this is coming.
Barry, Utah State, Texas, and now ULM this week.
Well, but that's your opinion on quality of opponent. All right, it's not mine. All right, I respect all the people that we play, and I respect winning and what you have to do to win. All right, so and every player should not be focused on who they're playing against relative to their motivation, but every player should want to be the best player they can be. So why would it matter whether we're playing Texas or playing somebody else? That's how you get good. That's how you develop the right habits. That's how you're consistent. I've told you guys more than once, when I was in the NFL, I watched players, I didn't know who they were playing against. I was just evaluating them. So that means when we play a team that's not as good as somebody else, you don't play as good. So you let the opponent determine how you play. You let the score determine how you play. You determine where you're playing. All right, that determines how you play.
How hard?
Yeah, I love it. Look, I love it, Jay. Look, I love it. I love it when he gets upset. I love it when he gives that look right there where it's like, how dare you? How dare you come into this press conference and ask that question? How many times have I told you?
I can imagine the gulp that reporter had in his throat right after he asked the question and the response that Coach Saban had, and he kind of led up to what he was going to explain. And it's almost like, okay, how hard is he going to come down? How big is this going to be? And it was more of a, just a slight one this time. Nothing like we've seen before. Some of the rants he's gone off on, but he's fired up, man. He loves. And I talked about this last week. Talked about it early in the week. And when moments like this where he can really teach his team, he can get them focused back in. They're humbled by this game against Texas. That he feels like now he's got their attention, and that he can really begin to coach them up and get them ready. So I think this is a good thing for Bama, and I love seeing Nick Saban when he's got that fiery look in his eyes.
Love seeing you guys in the comments section. Roll Tide to all of you guys out there that are here hanging out with us on a Thursday for Crimson Tide headlines, talking about Alabama and this matchup with ULM. Not to sit on this too much, Jake, because we got a bunch of other really fun things to talk about, but ULM did beat Alabama. I mean, and I think it could arguably be the worst loss of Nick Saban's career at Alabama.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, that was back in 2007, so a lot different team now, 15 years later, in his 16th season. The cool thing about it, though, is that they're coming in after a big win over Nebraska. They won that game, 45-42, I think it was, the final score. Terry Bowden, the head coach – I'm thinking about – I just totally got my whole thing messed up. UL-Monroe, Terry Bowden. I was thinking about Georgia Southern and UAB playing this week. I just got off an interview talking to Coach Vincent from UAB. But, yeah, Alabama, UL-Monroe, you got Terry Bowden coming in. They've had a really nice season so far, and what he's really added to them and what they're trying to do offensively. A lot of the same things he did, whether he's at Akron. What I love about Terry Bowden, Mick, is that he went to Clemson and took on that, advisory role and an analyst, and really humbled himself and said, hey, I can go through this. I can really better myself by being a part of a program like Clemson, kind of getting back into it. And then hopefully I can land a spot like UL-Monroe. So this is going to be interesting to watch and see how this game kind of plays out. They'll be motivated. Again, when teams come into Bryant-Denny Stadium, just like it is when we go there, the key is the fans won't be in it like they were at Texas as far as the emotions against Alabama. But this is their Super Bowl, their chance to come in and maybe try to pull off an upset. And when you saw all the upsets last week, do you not think every coach in America that's a mid-major going up against a Power 5 this weekend saying, look, they did it. They executed. The other team made mistakes. Let's go play our best football. Maybe we got a chance to win. And I've known Terry Bowden for, 40 years, probably that long. My mom was his secretary at Sanford. She worked with him. Yeah. So when he came from Salem to Sanford, he hired my mom as a secretary. She was at that time was going to go back into the workforce. At that time, I was in high school. Or I guess, I think high school just started. And with him, he brought a guy named Jimbo Fisher, who was the quarterback at Salem, who had just the year before come to Sanford and beat Sanford with Salem. So they brought Jimbo with him. All his brothers and Tommy and everybody was there at that time at Sanford, and really just an unbelievable coaching staff, and had a great career. From there he went to Auburn, and I was sharing the story today on the radio. I've shared it many times. We were back. I think it was 92. Coach Dye had just stepped down and retired at Auburn, and we're sitting at the dinner table, and it was a Sunday afternoon. I'd come back home. It was between our last game and Christmas and kind of the bowl break and all that. And my dad and I started talking about the Auburn job, like who's going to get it. And my mom goes, Terry's going to get it. And my dad and I started dying laughing. We're like, there's no way Terry Bowden is going to get this job. Well, at that time, a girl named Catherine Louder had become my mom's assistant. Catherine Louder is related to Bobby Louder, biggest donor, biggest booster for years before Jimmy Raines there at Auburn and with Colonial Bank. So she saw Bobby Louder come into the office, saw him having meetings with Terry all through those last 2 weeks that Coach Dye was there, and she overheard the conversations. And she kept saying, I'm telling you, 100%, put it down on he will be the next. We're like, that they're just having conversations. Maybe he'll be the offensive coordinator. Maybe he'll come in and play some role. And sure enough, he got hired and had a great career. When I played in my senior year in 94, they were 20-0-1. They had only tied one game, lost no games. He'd had the undefeated season in 93 with a great team that he inherited from Coach Dye. But he knew how to coach them up, and really great offensive mind. He's a Bowden. So, he has a lot of history as far as coaching. So you can't take these guys lightly. Coach Saban even addressed this about Coach Bowden and the Bowden family and how much they've meant to him over the years, how much respect he has for Bobby and Terry, that entire family, and the football kind of dynasty that they've had inside their family and all that they've accomplished.
First game I ever went to, 96
Really?
Iron Bowl. Yeah,
Wow.
he was on the sideline. 96 Iron Bowl, Alabama won 24-23. Freddie Kitchens, at the end of the game brought him back, but he was a coach. It's hard.
Is that
to
where he
believe.
hit Riddle?
Yeah, he hit Riddle to win the game,
pass.
right?
Yeah.
That's when it all started for me. So to see him still kind of at this, I've got a lot of respect for it. He could easily have walked away when he got fired from Auburn, and then. And some of the other jobs, but you're right. Just to kind of stick around. Now, I don't want him to have much success on Saturday, but
Right.
But with that said, you know what? This guy's been there for a long time, and you got to tip your cap to someone just for the resilience.
Yeah, and he's a lawyer, Mick. So I always thought he had his law degree when he got to Stanford, and I think he went to Oxford for a while as well. He's a very, very smart guy. I thought he was probably going to become an agent after his last kind of stint. He was out of football for 6-7 years, and then finally came back into it. But during that time, he actually had some instances that happened off the field at Auburn. That's why he ended up leaving. He actually went to the concert that just played at the White House, James Taylor. And he left during sprints during a practice and got on a private plane, flew to Birmingham, and the Auburn fans did not like it at that time. I think there was a lot of Pat Dye guys that really didn't like Terry because he came in and had such great success so early. And they felt like that, Coach Dye was kind of getting put behind and kind of moved ahead of where he was in the public eye. And I think there was kind of every move that they could make, they were going to try to make him look bad. And he left for a concert while they were running sprints during practice, but he still had a great record at that time and probably could have stayed on and ended up having a really good career at Auburn. And he's a Bowden.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
He is a Bowden, right.
Yeah.
And imagine that. Auburn being upset at their coach and behind the
That
scenes
must be the
stuff to
Idaho
get rid
Bowl.
of him.
Is that right? Yeah, I was about to say. I can tell
Look
it's
at
the
that.
Idaho Bowl.
Thank you, David, for the super chat as you hang out with us here on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up as we hang out with you. Crimson Tide headlines. One of the headlines today, Jay, great picture of Terry, by the way, is that, I kind of started, was it today or yesterday? I think it was yesterday, where Oklahoma and Texas were scheduled to play some SEC teams. And now all of a sudden they're backing out of those because they're going to be in the conference, and there's a chance that they might be a little bit earlier than, when they come out of their contract. Nonetheless, we're looking at a 9-game SEC schedule now. And that would be with 3 permanent opponents, right? And then you would rotate 6. So let's talk about that for Alabama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would think the 3 permanent opponents, Auburn definitely. They're going to be in the West anyway. So you got Auburn, LSU, Tennessee. Those are all your rivals. You're going to make sure, because there is some talk that they would maybe mix even up the East and the West. There's a possibility that they may take some teams from the West, move to the East, keep the teams to the West, and then they're adding those 2 in and all that, and do it a little bit different than they did with Missouri, which sits way out there and they're in the East, even though they're probably the most furthest West team we've got. But yeah, I like the 9 games, to be honest. I wish, honestly, we got to 4 conferences. We played 9 in our conference and played 3 of the other conferences. I think you'd get a better feel for the conferences, the competition, and especially going to a 12-team playoff, and just make it 4 super conferences. And that way you have the 9 in your conference, like I said, and 3 outside. Be great competition, great games. Now, you do take away that $1.5 million that I think was a Marshall got for playing Notre Dame, and for Georgia Southern the same way. They walk away with that big money after those upsets. But those games are just hard to get up for, number one, which we'll see this weekend. But you got to do it. You got to play at a level that this coach talks about the process. But I'm excited about it, and I do. To me today, seeing that news to me signaled this will happen quicker than what we thought. It's probably not going to be 24 or 26 before we see these moves by the conferences. Instead, hopefully they'll be in the SEC sooner than later. Because I watching the Alabama Texas game, I'm like, okay, we're going to get this now. Maybe every year, maybe every 2 years, whatever it is. But we're going to get the Oklahomas, the Texas, and get a chance to travel there. Them traveling to Tuscaloosa. It's going to be some great matchups.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So did I have this right? It's 3 permanent and then 6 rotating, right? I mean,
yeah,
I get
that's my
not
understanding.
official yet, but that's kind of what I'm hearing. So if you're Alabama, I mean, it would have to be Auburn, right? You got to keep Tennessee.
Got to keep Tennessee.
But is it LSU or is it Mississippi State, or who's the third team? Because at what point too do you say, hey, you know what, maybe it might make better sense for us competitively to have Mississippi State on there, at least one of those teams that, no offense to them, but Alabama beats them 90% of the time.
Right. No, I agree. And that may be the case in that you're looking back at that pod, and I don't know if Chris can pull the pods. There's the 4 pods they had and how they were going to structure the teams. It was kind of more of an idea they put out, but the SEC network put it out. So I felt like this may be pretty much what they're looking at doing as far as from the SEC's perspective. If they do that, that could be really cool. The good thing about that too is that you're going to play more, and by the time you end your career, I think as they said, year 3, you have a chance to play in almost every stadium in the SEC. Nice. Yeah, and if you're year 4, you definitely get in every stadium based on the rotation. So that to me is one thing that's important, because you would love to have a chance to play in a stadium that maybe you wouldn't in the normal formats or the old formats, even back when I was playing, to get a chance to do that and experience what it's like to be at Florida, at South Carolina. South Carolina is one of the best game day lead-ins to everything. The crowd, everything's amazing. Playing at Tennessee is unbelievable. Playing at LSU, getting a chance to go and play in Georgia. There's just different times where guys have gone through their entire collegiate career in the SEC and have only played in a number of schools' stadiums, and that's a shame. This format will give them that chance to do that and have some really good experiences.
Yeah, and look, you're going to add some teams. Who knows how many will end up in there when it's all said and done? But yeah, kind of exciting stuff to be able to to have more matchups with teams like Georgia and Florida, and Vanderbilt, right? We want to see more Vanderbilt. No, I'm just kidding. All right, talking about Vanderbilt, one of the things that we were going to get into today that kind of fits this to me is, should we separate the FBS from the Power Five? Now, I'm not in, look, Vanderbilt would probably have more success in the FBS, right?
I'm all on. I've been on board with this for 10, 12 years. I've talked about this on radio and everywhere else. The Power Five and the Group of Five, those mid majors, it's just so tough for them to compete in recruiting and facilities and all that. I think they should have their own championship, like you do in Division II, Division III, to where they sit as a lower subdivision of the major colleges, the Power Five, and really I'd rather be the Power Four and have 4 conferences. Like I said, 16 teams. You got 64 teams. You can still have a 12-team playoff or 16, whatever you want to do. But you get more quality games. You're going to have better TV contracts because of that. You're going to get 12 outstanding matchups. It's going to really, and again, what we're going to see with the 12-team playoff is, if you win the championship, your possibility of playing 17 games in NFL regular season schedule is very possible. And so that's going to be interesting for how the players kind of react to that. But with NIL, transfer portal, all the stuff they're getting now, my argument's on the side of play more games. It gives you more opportunities to make more money. It gives you more opportunities to be in front of cameras, to be on the playoffs, to win championships, and it gives more teams, more players opportunities to do that. But I would love to see the Group of Five be a subdivision of the Power Five, and that way they have their own championship, their own playoffs. And everybody says, well, how are they going to compete or whatever? I think they would generate more money, because I think people like watching good competition. They love watching championships. They love watching playoffs. If you had a 12-team playoff on the subdivision as well as the Power Five, I think you would still have great TV contracts. They need the content that time of the year. They're looking for live programming.
Yeah, wow. That'd be such a different structure. It is, even though there's a lot of teams that aren't ever going to win a national championship, it's still fun to see Georgia Southern go on the road and beat Nebraska. It is still awesome to see Appy State. But there is no Appy State, right? Isn't that what Texas A&M said? Yeah, well, they came in there and beat the Aggies last week. I love that stuff. I didn't like it when Louisiana-Monroe beat Alabama or Louisiana Tech beat Alabama. I was at both of those games. So, but you know what?
That's what are the yell coach? He said that I've never heard of Appalachia or something like that. Or where is Appalachia?
There's no state called Appalachia.
Appalachia, yeah. And then he said, I'm not sure if these guys can even read or write, much less know how to do directions, how they're going to find their. I was like, dude, that yell coach, he definitely was eating crow so bad after that game, and his delivery method wasn't very well either.
No. But
even the fans were going,
yeah, like wah, wah. Hey guys, like and subscribe as you hang out with us on the Bama Insider YouTube channel. He's Jay Barker. I'm Mick Gillispie. This is Crimson Tide Headlines. Give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate you being part of our community, part of our family here. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. So for those of you that are part of that already, roll tide to you. And if you're not, even if you're not an Alabama fan and you're just a fan of college football, we love the fact that you're here with us hanging out, and we want you to be a member. It's really easy to do. Also, hit that bell, and then you'll know anytime that we have a live show. And I'm telling you, this is it. This is the last week. You get On 3, BamaInsider.com On 3 for $1. 1 week left. $1, 1 week left. You're going to, if you don't do it, then forever hold your peace, because you're going to have to get the best content, to know everything recruiting. You're going to have to pay more money. So it's an introductory rate, and we want you to take advantage of that as we hang out. All right, let's talk about Bryce Young. You love these NILs, Jay, and I think part of it is that, had you come along now, you probably would be a guy that have a lot of NILs, being a national championship quarterback. Well, Bryce Young's a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, and he's got a Beats deal.
Unbelievable. Dre Beats. And, great matchup. And I hope we get the picture up of the beats that actually he got. But again, this is the brand of Bryce Young, but it's also the brand of Alabama. So I was trying to explain this to Matt Coulter. He couldn't quite see it at first, but you can see the beats. Did you see the script A?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, I have a pair of these. I have 2 pairs of these, not these particular ones, but Beats. Yeah. They're amazing. Yeah.
So what they've done is, I don't know if they shouldn't be having to pay a license fee for that. There is no script A. What they did is they used the white to make the end of a script A, or the outside of it. So the white, so I don't. They may still be paying licensing on that, but there is no infringement in my mind based on that. You're not really. That was a cool design and a really neat way of saying, hey, we can put this on Bryce's head, and not have to say that he's promoting anything Alabama. He's promoting his brand, wearing our beats, but very, very clever there. Good looking stuff. I texted Braxton earlier and said, tell Bryce I'm looking for my pair in the mail.
Yeah, really. Yeah, tell him your partner too.
That's right.
A couple of beats this way. Look, I love those things, man. I'm thinking right now that
sound great.
The ones I have still have the wires on them. You know, I need to upgrade to the wireless just to show you how long ago. But when I was traveling with the basketball team, the women's basketball team at Alabama, and on those charters all the time, you know, you have to have like really good headphones just because you got to
crowd in the noise.
Yeah, the noise. And those things are amazing. Like when you turn them things on, gosh, and you can hear. I used to joke with Wendell Hudson. I was listening to a Ray Charles concert, and I felt like I could hear him miss the key a couple of times, you know, or maybe push a little bit too hard. They're amazing. Do you have a pair of those?
I actually have had Beats, a number of pairs. My kids have had a number of pairs, not the latest ones. But they're great. Yeah, I mean, they're awesome. I could see you rolling up in your fancy suit, got your chains on, got your Beats on, hat turned backwards. Listening to the next episode.
Yeah. I had the next episode.
Diggity. Was it Go Diggity?
I had all those. Yeah. I mean, like that. It wasn't that long ago, but I like the different music sounds so clear on there. You know, it's like sometimes you hear when I first got those, I would listen to songs that I've heard a million times and it just sounded so much clearer than I had heard it before. But, you know, going back to the NIL and Bryce Young, I mean, he's a pretty hot commodity right now. What do we have him at? $3.3 million? Not too shabby for a college quarterback.
It's crazy. And now, you know, you got 14 states that are now allowing high school kids to get NIL so they can start, you know, signing those contracts, getting in early. Again, the key for him is that he's done a really good job of not just going out there and doing it for everyone. There's Beats by Dre, Nissan, Dr. Pepper, Noble, Cash App, I know is one, Dollar Shave Club. I don't know if that's why I still got the mustache, but use it, Bryce. No, the Cash App. I think he's got a Cash App as well. I don't see it up there, but I'm pretty sure he had Cash App as one of them. May not be now, but I mean, those are major brands. There we go. Hit all. That's just okay. It's all deals. Let's see. There are no current deals for the. Okay, there is. We just hit them. But yeah, I mean, these are national brands, and again, it's his brand, but it's also, I think, Alabama, which I think that's what sells these, you know, the Power Five or really the blue bloods of college football, is that not only can you use your brand, but you got the brand behind you with all the fan base. People are going to buy the product. They're just looking for impressions. They want to get as many impressions out there as they can. Just us talking about it right now, we wouldn't be talking about Beats, but we are because it's our player. But there'll be talk shows all over the country. There'll be TV people. ESPN probably will run something about it. But the impressions they'll get just from his tweets and the things that he puts out on social is what they're looking for. They're looking for ESPN or CBS or one of the groups catching him pregame or postgame when he's out there getting ready, warmed up, or when he's walking to the bus or to the airplane, he's got his Beats on. They just want the impressions. We have a very short attention span now in America and all over the world, and that's what they love. They love that. Their ROI is going to be him getting the attention that he's already getting, being a former Heisman Trophy winner. And I love the fact that he's in the Heisman house. I mean, I think he did a great job there. The Dr. Pepper commercial is great. I mean, I love when he looks up and says, "They're my family now." I love that.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely doing it up, and you know that I think this is what the NIL was supposed to be. You know, not not obviously not recruiting people and putting cash in their pocket, but when you've kind of established yourself and there's a value to what you're doing, you know, to get paid for it.
Yeah, and I'd love to see all the players walk out of getting ready for the game, and they're all going on the plane to the bus wearing these Beats. That'd be pretty cool if he was able to get that worked into his deal. But the Beats spends a lot of money on commercials. They spend a lot. They do a lot of stuff, especially around the award shows and stuff. And will we see Bryce Young in a Beats commercial? May not. It may just be that he's wearing the product and getting free products as well as some endorsement money. But I'm proud for him. He's a good kid, man. Great young man. Very talented, and he deserves it, especially after duck under, get away, scramble for a first down to get us set up for a field goal to beat Texas. I mean, he always is able to step up in the moments. And that's why I think these companies, I think they like him because not only what he does in the field, it's important, but I think they like the person he is. They know that they're not going to have to worry about that something bad's going to happen, that they're going to find him in the news somewhere and that all of a sudden their product is, part of that. They know that he's a clean cut guy and just an awesome individual and a great player.
I think you said it best. Let's go to the comments section. We'll take a couple of comments and chew on those for a little bit before we pack up for today. And here's one from Thunder the Barbarian. Northern Illinois is in the Shula years. So we were talking about some of those losses. I was at that game too, unfortunately. And I remember they had a running back. We just couldn't stop him. He was built like a bowling ball. Do you remember that game?
I do remember that game, yeah. And I remember the running back. I can't remember his name. I think he went on to play in the NFL for a little while.
I think he did.
Yeah, but he was, he ran through our defense. Those are some tough years. A lot of depletion on both sides of football based on the 25 scholarship restriction that they were at that particular time. But, good one there from Thunder.
All right, last one, our guy Jarvis here, one of the best on the board.
That's right.
Can't overlook any opponent, but this Arkansas game in 2 weeks, I feel it too. I mean, Alabama, they've got to stay focused because they have to stay focused, right? Mm-hmm. But these games aren't going to be close. That Arkansas game is potentially a beast.
Yeah, and Jefferson's playing so well right now. I mean, last year he made a huge improvements at the quarterback position, and I just love what Sam Pittman's done. The attitude he has. He always talks about what do you bring in to drink. That's kind of been his slogan this year. Is it bourbon or wine? I think that's the two that he always talks about. Even though he said he's gonna have an ice cold beer after the game the other night. His personality is rubbed off well in Arkansas. Probably the best place he probably could have gone where he could recruit the type of players that he wants to get there, the guys that are hard-nosed, win the trenches type of players. And I agree with you, Jarvis. I think this is going to be a tough matchup for Alabama. I mean, Alabama's – the one thing about it, when you play teams like that, either – it's really the defense, I think, and really the trenches. Whoever wins the trenches and executes well, because if you can protect Bryce, they're not used to that type of offense. They're not used to going against it in practice. Neither is our defense used to going up against a really hard-nosed, tough, run it down your throat type of style of offense. So if you're able to score more points, it makes it tougher. Then they kind of get out of their game plan, start trying to throw it more. That's when mistakes are made, turnovers are made. I hope that's what the game's going to look like. And I'm just glad we got the scare early. I think Coach Saban's going to use this all throughout the year to remind these guys, don't forget Texas, and the mentality and the way that we played, and really it was more of composure than discipline. This team's discipline, their lack of composure with the fans and all that was surrounding that game, you could just tell that it got to them.
Todd throws it up there. It was Michael the burner
Turner. That's it. Good job, Todd.
Yeah, nice job. All right, Jay, anything else before we pack it up for this Thursday and get ready for tomorrow night's tailgate show, which, by the way, will be at Unique on the Strip, which is where Egan's used to be. It's a new sports bar. Chris Coleman is one of the owners of the bar. He's been part of our show for a long time, so we wanted to get over there and hang out with him a few times this season. That'll be 6 to 8 tomorrow night. And then it'll play on radio across the state on Saturday. But final thoughts, man, before we head there.
Just excited to see how the team responds to this, almost a loss but an ugly win to Texas. The leaders on this team, they got great leaders on offense and defense. How do they really pull this team together? How has Coach Saban kind of gotten to them through what he said in the media, but more importantly, what he's telling them in the meetings and the coaches, the way they're coaching them up, getting the fundamentals back. These next 2 weeks are important before they meet Arkansas. After Arkansas, it's a tough road schedule and just regular SEC schedule. Going to be some tough matchups for Alabama. So I'm glad that they kind of got brought back down to earth. I think that's going to make them better, closer together as a team. And I think it's going to benefit them long run and hopefully get a big win this weekend.
Special thanks to Chris Daughtry behind the scenes. He's magical back there. We'll just put it like that. He's magical back there, making sure that we look good and everything's smooth on the show. And Kyle Henderson, who's the man with the master plan. For Jay Barker, I'm Mick Gillispie, reminding you guys to like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up as we hang out with you. So I've just cracked myself.
I know. You became Dr. Dre.
Well, I was going back to the Beats comment. Right. You were talking about the next episode.
That's right. Yeah.
Get into like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, and everybody's like, okay, yeah. Anyway, like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. That's a way you say Roll Tide as we hang out with you here on the BamaInsider YouTube channel. Hit the bell so you know when we are going live. And I promise you guys, and I know most of you that are watching right now have already done it, but if you want, now is the time to take advantage of $1 for a year of BamaInsider.com on 3, because next week when we're on here, it's not going to be available to you. So
Inflation.
Inflation's going to hit really fast. For Jay Barker, I'm Mick Gillispie. Thank all of you guys in the comment section as well. And make sure you're here 6 o'clock tomorrow night for the Tailgate Show. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.